We are live. We are live. Hey everyone, Art T Bear here, Hack Shack Studios, and we are just going to chat. We're going to chill. We're going to hang out. I have some commissions and some updates on not only the Black and White campaign, but the Chrono campaign as well. So let's do this. Let's hang out. Let's catch up. So how's everybody been? Just got back, got my hair cut, so it's doing good. Hey, my wife bought this Jack Ryan first season TV show. I want to get some thoughts on this because I don't know if I liked it or not. I thought it was okay. Hey, we got Andrew J. We got the J in the house. How are you, my brother? And it was really strange because looking fly, Art. Thank you. I got all my hair's all sporty. It's looking good. And I don't know, man. I liked all the actors in the first season. I thought the characters were pretty strong. I thought that it was weak on action. I know it's more of a thriller, espionage, that type of thing, but I thought it spent a little bit too much time in the mundane. So if there's anybody in the chat that saw the first season of Jack Ryan, I think they're on the third season now. It was pretty slow, and I know it was espionage thriller, and they're not, big and huge on the action aspects, but my gosh, if that thing was condensed into like a 2-hour movie, I think it would have been way better. There was just so much stuff just dealing with family and just mundane stuff. Like, I understand trying to humanize the characters, even the villains, but I thought it was crazy overkill. Pamela, my wife, thought she liked it a little bit better than I did. But it felt like every episode was almost exactly the same, and it never seemed to want to make a point. It seemed like it was doing everything in its power to kind of detour from getting to the point. Hey, Matt, what's up? What's up? Yeah, everything's going good here, man. Hope you're doing well also. And I don't know. Did you guys see Jack Ryan? What did you think? I almost wish I could invite somebody in here and get some feedback because, I know it's a little older material, but man, it was kind of a letdown personally. So I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be par for the course with some of these more streaming shows. If these writers haven't figured out how to do work in that format yet. Because it feels like a lot of those streaming shows that I've seen so far, it feels like they have like a beginning, middle, and end, but if it was condensed more, it would work so much better. It almost feels like they're extending it on purpose just to fill space with a lot of like characterization and stuff that doesn't really matter. And you don't really care about. Like, I remember I was reading an article about like how Frank Miller tells the story, and he was like, just show the height and stuff. Don't show the guy getting the keys out of his pocket, putting them in the ignition, turning the ignition, and checking his rear view and doing all that stuff. Just have him like driving, have him doing something cool. Always just show like the height and stuff. And one of the problems I've always had with TV in general is that all of that filler stuff is in there. Like, do they think we need to see, the guy gets out of his house, walks over to his car, gets in his, unlocks the door, opens the door, gets in the seat, adjusts the mirror, puts his keys in. Like, do we need to see all that stuff? And I felt like that's what that Jack Ryan was. There was a lot of mundane stuff that didn't seem to pay off. So I'm going to get off this now because it doesn't seem like any of you guys have seen that. I can't highly recommend it anyway. But what I was going to do, and if you guys have any questions or anything in the chat, this is a chill stream, so ask questions and interact. It is welcome. It is most welcome, because I think that's, I don't really have too much stuff prepared. But yeah, as far as update on Black and White, we got a boxes out yesterday of Black and White. So we packed stuff up over the night yesterday or the day before. So we got a bunch of Black and White books out yesterday. And what went out today is a lot of the bundles with the Black and White book and the Oodles of Doodles sketchbook or drawing book. Art book. Yeah, the art book. So those went out today, or going out today. So Pamela's actually at the post office right now dropping those off. So when you get the books, please post up on Twitter or your social media, tag me, and let me know you got them. And even if it's a bad review, put up a little review and let me see what you thought of it. We have Tank Ferret Art. Yeah, yo. Yeah, Art and Friends. So it's becoming a party now. We're getting some people in here. Did you watch The Mandalorian? Sorry if you've already answered this one. No, I have not. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about Disney right now and giving them money. And I have a strong feeling that the streaming wars and what Disney's going to do is get people at a lower introduction rate to their streaming service, and then in a year or two, well, they're gonna jack them up. They're gonna jack up the rates, but what they're gonna do is they're gonna have that good introductory rate, and they're gonna get a bunch of subscribers, and they're gonna destroy the competition. And then they're going to, once the competition's gone, they're going to up their rates. So I don't like anything to do with this streaming wars. I like it when companies can compete, in a fair way. But I really don't like when a company can or is going to destroy another company like that. And I don't know. I know that Netflix kind of destroyed the mom and pop rental places, and even Blockbuster. Yeah, it was Blockbuster. So if Disney destroys Netflix and the Warner Brothers streaming and all these other streaming services, then it's kind of like, par for the course. But I would like to see us as the consumers benefit a little bit more before it becomes too expensive. Because what's going to happen is, people only have so much money, so they're not going to be able to subscribe to all these channels. So something like Netflix or these channels that were playing other people's movies and other people's shows, the variety is going to go away. So everybody's going to get very territorial and only play their own IPs and stuff like that. And so it's going to really narrow what we can get. So the Disney Channel is just going, or the Disney streaming service is just going to be Disney stuff. And, if I want to get horror, or I want to get these other type of movies or, type of product, I'm going to have to subscribe to these other streaming services. And I don't know. I only see that in the long run, the consumer is going to lose out on that one. So I don't like that. So yeah, I haven't really pulled the trigger yet on the Disney streaming. So I'm really not sure if I will. So I think I'm going to take a wait and see on that. How did the Wonder Woman cover go that you drew the other night? Oh, if you check my Twitter, it's up on Twitter, and my Instagram and Facebook. So it's up if you want to see it. I don't have it here. I guess I could grab it and see. Let me see if I can do that for you guys. Hope you can't see this. I believe it should be. should be here somewhere. There it is. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. So let's do this. So who asked for this? You asked for it, man. You asked for it. Yes, so fulfillment is going so the fulfillment is going strong. So we're getting books out, probably about 10 to 15 books a day. So Pamela's making daily runs. So we're not kind of waiting, because she doesn't want to go to the because I think they might get I think if you drop off too many books, they might get suspicious and start opening things and whatever. So at least this is what Pamela thinks. So she's taking stuff in daily and small amounts of books. So black and white books are going out daily. So and I think she's just trying to keep a steady run of them coming out to you guys, so we don't have like dry spells. And the main thing is to get them to you as quick as possible. We do appreciate all your patience and time waiting. Oh yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah, that was very cool. Okay, so we have Matt. How'd the Wonder Woman cover? Let's see, screen share. I click this, I click this, I click this, and then I come over here. So you guys should be looking right at the Wonder Woman. And if you didn't see me, I put this pretty much together on the live stream. I think not yesterday, the day before. So this is the Wonder Woman drawing that I did on my YouTube the other day. So you can see it has the white, because I wasn't able to put the white paint like highlights and strands of her hair in there. So you can see them here. So I didn't quite get it finished, but pretty much. So you can see kind of some of the white strands that I came in with white paint and put in. So I really like working this way with more of like dry brush and different textures and techniques. It's got some ink wash in there and all kinds of textures and fun stuff. So even a little bit of yellow paint and some marker for the red stars. So yeah, I had a lot of fun. I have actually, I have some other stuff that I'll be showing you as well, since we're on the whole commission thing. So I have some other commissions that I want to show you guys as well. So very cool. So let's catch up. We have the Lady Celtic Moon, or Celtic Moon, depending on how you say it. So the Celtics, as far as the basketball team, are the Celtics, not the Celtics, which is bizarre. So how are you? Welcome to the chat. Like I said before, you guys, please just chime in, because this is going to be interactive. I didn't really prepare too much stuff. I just want to connect with you guys every day in some small way. Hey, Art, XX. I don't know what XX means. I know what triple X means. That's naughty. It's 10 p.m. here, so chant or can't stay long. Your art is incredible, by the way. Thank you, Charlie London. Much appreciated. Charlie's London, I should say. Oh, I think that's a wow for the Wonder Woman. That's gorgeous. Very cool. Oh, Andrew J., you got to stop with this, man. I think you said 170 the other day. Yeah, it's sold. It is sold. And I believe that went out today as well. So if you're in the chat and that was your drawing, it's gonna be in your mailbox soon. I thought it was a Vin Diesel movie. Oh, Triple X. Triple X. We have thank you, Arthur Brown, and we have Vilnid. Hey y'all. We have Sketch Your Back. Test 001. Sounds like a Rush title. Yeah, so let's do some of the screen share. Oh, before I go, I can actually see if this works. This is a Red Sonja piece that I'm working on right now. So this is the rough layout. It's supposed to just be a bust, but I went crazy again. So the costume's starting to go in. She looks a little thick up top, so I think I'm going to have to thin the arms out a little bit. Either that or make the head slightly bigger, but I'm going to play with this in Photoshop. So what I do is I pretty much get it to this stage, and then I scan it in Photoshop, and then I kind of have my last minute tweaks and stuff in Photoshop. So I think I have that. Let me see what else I have. I have a list here of my commissions. So if there's anybody in the chat that I still owe these to, I have a white from Black and White commission going to Jeff. And then I have a Judge Anderson going to Kevin. And then I have a Voodoo Old School going to Matt. Sonja's going to Adam. And then I have a Rogue Savage Land going to Troy. So I like to kind of get them into this state. I'm going to share with you. And then I finish them up. So this is the Rogue Savage Land. This is a little tighter than I usually do. You can see this is tighter than the Red Sonja piece. So I'm either going to light box this or blue line it. If I'm going to do a lot of ink wash, I probably don't want a blue line, because when you put a lot of water down over the blue line, it kind of disturbs the blue. It kind of activates it, and the blue almost becomes like a paint. It'll smear around and smudge around, because I think it's water. The ink is water based from the printer. Oh, excuse me, from the printer. So it doesn't really interact well if you get it too wet. But you can ink with a brush, a pen, a marker over it pretty well. So I like the way this came out. So I might just blue line this on to I think it's a 9 by 12, 9.5 by 12. So it's going to go on the Strathmore Bristol. Yeah, it's 9 by 12. So it's the smaller sheet. So this is not a 11 by 17 commission. And so this is before. No, actually, I did do some Photoshop work on this. I think I made the head a little smaller and moved it up on the body. And I made the spear a little longer. And I think I redrew her hand, the one holding the spear, digitally. And I think I made the tree wider or thicker. So there's some stuff I do in Photoshop. It's just quicker than doing it on the board or erasing and then completely redrawing. Because I really like the head, and if I was going to make it smaller, I would have had to erase it and then completely redraw it. So I don't really like Photoshop, and I don't like digital too much. But in the layout phase, I find it really helpful, because I can move things around and I can augment things really quickly and without having to redraw. So one of the things of like old school drawing is, if I wanted the head smaller, I would have had to just erase it and redraw it completely. And that becomes a pain in the butt and also slows the process down quite a bit. So I am real thankful for Photoshop. It in a lot of other cases, it's a necessity, but I don't really like it, because I don't feel it speeds up the process, some of the stuff I do with it. So then we have this one here, which I'm not 100% on the face. I think it's the nose. And maybe the eyes are a little too wide. Not wide apart, but maybe a little too long. Maybe they need to be shortened up. So this is a Voodoo commission, and this is going to be 11 by 17. So I thought I'd get a little racy. She's kind of She's kind of an exotic dancer. And this is old school voodoo too, from the 90s. So the hand's a little, I don't know, it's a little busted up. I think I digitally redrew the hand, and I didn't really structure it up too well. So I'm going to have to, rework the hand a little bit. Ugh. Let me show you my busted up hand. It's kind of weird looking. So yeah, there's a few more tweaks to go with this. I do like the attitude, and I really like the waist. Her rib cage might be a little too far out. I might want to bring that in a little bit. But I like the leg, and I like the boot shape. Her hand's a little masculine too, the one that's holding the bottom of the bar. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'll hatch out of this black that's kind of drawn in here and kind of fade it out and not put a border around it. I think it'll look better that way. And then either do some kind of effect with the lighting, or I have another idea with the lighting where I can hatch around it and just make it look like instead of these like little bursts coming out of it, make it look more just like, I don't know how to describe it, just like a light coming out of the black without these little starburst ideas. So I'm still going to play with that. So this is kind of what I've been doing. And like I said, I think after this, I just have two more, and they're 11 by 17. I have what is it? Anderson from Judge Dredd. She's pretty cool, actually. So I have Judge Anderson, and then I have White. And I have the white one worked out. I should have put it up here. She's leaping in the air, and then she's impaling a robot in the head with her staff. So there's a little bit more background elements on that one, but it's white, and hey, I gotta make her look cool. So yeah, there's that. And then just to recap, there's my Rogue Savage Land, and then here's the one I did the other day in the live stream. So let's go back, see what you guys are talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Savage Land Rogue looking amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, this is going to be a pretty quick. Where are her organs? Is it her waist or is it her ribs? Maybe her waist is too skinny. Maybe if I think you're talking about the voodoo drawing. Maybe if I bring her waist out a little bit, maybe it's a little too thin, so it'll make her ribs not stick out as far. It's weird, man. It's a constant back and forth with these things. We have Sketch. Hey, it was a pleasure talking to you on Frege. Was that last night? That was last night, right? Hope to see you again. I love your Alterna idea. Yeah, so if you didn't listen into Frege's last night, Sketch Therapy was on there, and Peter Samedi was on there as well. And we were kind of talking about more of a newsprint format, kind of a less expensive way of printing books, and possibly doing some Indiegogo campaigns that are newsprint and possibly saddle stitch. So the black and white book, let me see if I have one here. This is all the bells and whistles. Let me show you. So these are really upscale books. That's why they're so expensive to produce. So you can see it has, a little fold line here. So when you open the cover, you don't kind of mess it up. So it kind of works on that fold, and that it's pretty heavy cardboard stock. And my favorite is, if you're going to do graphic novels, square bound them. And then, of course, it has the back on there as well. So this is really, and then you have your inside front cover. And then you play with the format. So the credit page is right there. And you can print on the back covers and stuff like that as well. So these are expensive to do, and they're very, very very nice. They're very, very I don't know, upscale. They're just really nice. Like they have all the bells and whistles on them. And so what I was thinking of doing, and I think everybody in the chat was in agreement, and I think Sketches as well, where we will do. I'm thinking of launching it in March, January, February, probably February. So once Chrono is done and we start fulfilling, I'm going to do another black and white campaign for volume 1, and it's going to be saddle stitch, like, you know, like an average comic, and it'll have kind of, let me see, I got one book here. So it'll just kind of be like a normal comic book, you know, with the saddle stitch staple and, you know, the normal paper. And but I was thinking I am going to do a new cover, but I was thinking of possibly doing a wraparound, because in a graphic novel, wraparounds don't really work, but with saddle stitch, they do work. So I'm thinking of possibly doing it, and actually it was my wife's idea, doing it as a wraparound, because we can take advantage of the saddle stitch, because most of the books like Chrono, I'm hoping will be, if we can get the stretch goals, we'll be able to do the square spine, and we'll be able to do the upscale, like basically the bells and whistles production like this one. Although the Chrono campaign has foil in it as well. So I want to do the Chrono logo in foil. And then what I want to do is kind of a small like piping around it, I guess around the sides here, and the bottom. And then they're kind of attached into the logo, kind of like how this red line goes across. It'll go around the border. And then in whichever corner looks best, it'd probably be this one here. We'll have like a half cog. And actually the cover of the Chrono Mechanics book will, let me show you, it will fit in here, because it's kind of designed, I kind of designed it that way. So it'll probably be in here, in this corner right here. And then it'll probably take up like that kind of space here. And then it'll just be a half cog, and Pamela and I can sign our names in there. And all that will be foil embossed. So one of the things I would like to do is I want to do like a first run where we do like all the bells and whistles. Look at with a shiny UV. It's not UV, but I forget what kind of coating they call this. It's like a lacquer coating to make it all nice and shiny. And also this paper is upgraded too. It's thicker than the normal comic, and it's a shinier stock. So I hope that Peter Simeti will make some time for me, because I want to talk to him about the production and how to put those books together. And I'm not sure, but I heard that he also uses a United States-based printer, which means we can get the books back faster. So what I'd like to do with the black and white campaign in February is one, we'll be able to lower the price, but it will be a completely different product as far as cover and as far as production values, and then get that into your hands at a lower price, and just kind of as an experiment to see if we could do something that's upscale, and then for the upscale customers with all the bells and whistles, and then do a kind of more for the masses production values. And also the campaigns will be completely different, because one of the things you get on like the black and white campaign, and that you're going to get with the Chrono campaign, is a lot of stretch goals and a lot of extras. Because with the Chrono campaign, right off the bat, you get a free trading card with it. So with the more base model version of the book, it most likely will not have stretch goals and things like that, because it's just, I won't be able to afford it. It just won't. Those campaigns, you can't really do too much, but I'm still looking into all of that. And I believe that, I don't know if he's announced it yet, but Chung Lee is going to do something just like that with Battle Maiden relatively soon. So save up your money for that. It should be cool. Okay. SJWs are complaining about idealized. Oh, Art, you're fine. SJWs are complaining about idealized female form and saying, where her organs. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, you know what? There are skinny people in the world, so get over it. Where her organs is what crazy people ask a J-Ska account. Okay, I understand now. And welcome to the chat, Cult Film Video. I think this is the first time I've seen you in here. So welcome. Okay, so must be tough to decide when to start a campaign now. Well, yeah, there's certain times of the year that aren't good, and there's certain months. So I think December traditionally is not great, and February. Oh no, not February, but January. So December, January are kind of bad months, and traditionally September, with publishing and entertainment, they used to say is a bad month. So who knows? I think if you have a good audience and you have kind of a built-in like audience, then you can do these almost any time of year. Because I think Cecil was talking about doing his before the end of the year as well. So somebody like Cecil's got good social media, he's got good presence. So and he's been talking about his book for a while now. So there's kind of a built-in audience for it already. So there's a lot of variables with it as well. But I think if you launch, or if you can launch this in September, a book, but you can fulfill it before December, then you could actually advertise, you know, like it's for Christmas or something like that. So like a September month can work, but I think it would only work if you could guarantee that they get the book before Christmas. So then you could sell it like they're like Christmas presents for people. So, oh, this is the Bishop book. Yeah, I think I just showed it here. Yeah, I guess Marvel's reissuing books as well. So we're in good company there with reissuing. So you reprinting it through Alterna? I don't know. I actually was thinking of possibly seeing how that would work out. I just kind of want to get a one-on-one with Peter and see what he thinks and what can be done. Because at this point, I just kind of have a guesstimated time and something I would like to do, but I'm not sure that I haven't even really looked into it, to be honest. So I'm kind of just talking without having a lot of knowledge on it. But there's been people that have done it, so it looks like it's viable, and Chung Lee is going to do it. So you know, if he's going to do it, he's probably got all the details worked out. So I can kind of talk to him. That's what's good about this community is we can share notes. So we're not all reinventing the wheel. We can ask questions. And yeah, Battle Maiden is the book that he's going to bring out in a more newsprint and streamlined version of it. Called Vacuum. What is that? Vacuuming, especially the female BBS. It's to prevent abdominal bulge. Their waist can become ultra small. Yeah, and if you think about Arnold in the day when he was competing, man, that guy had a tiny waist. I think that's what really gives that that cool dynamic. Got the old one too. Oh, the original? That's cool. Yeah, and also I think it's cool because if you have your bells and whistles book, then you might not want to put a lot of wear and tear on these because I think a lot of people were talking about these books in this format are actually fetching quite a bit on the resale market. So the values are going up on those books. So you might want to keep them protected, and then you could get the newsprint versions and beat the hell out of those, beat those things up. And that's what I used to do when I was really collecting. I would save one, and then I would read the other. So I'd have a reading copy basically and a collectible copy. Yeah. So Arthur's kind of reinforcing. So that I guess what are they just kind of sucking it in? Is that what they're doing? Because sometimes it doesn't look all that natural. It looks like they're sucking it in as well. So who knows? Well, I just wanted to kind of touch base with you guys, hang out a little bit, and see what everybody's doing. Oh, what is this? I forgot to do this. What is that? Wilberforce Worcester. Going to be a big burst in February now. Might be too many. Was Ethan talking about doing something in February too? Yeah, I mean, it might be, but also it might bring a lot of energy to the books as well. So if a lot of people are on their platform talking up the new books coming out and everything, it might actually build some energy as well. So I don't really have a lot of experience with these crowdfunding books. And I believe sort of what we're doing here is pioneering as well. So I think people are just playing at the idea of trying different things and seeing what works and what doesn't. So, who knows? He's gonna start. Is that the campaign in February? Yeah. So yeah, there could be a little bit of competition there, and also after the Black and White campaign for Volume 1, I'm going to do a Volume 2 of the Oodles book, and I think we have 20 copies that we didn't sell because we did signed and numbered for the Oodles book in the Black and White campaign when we went in demand. So we may be reissue. Well, we'll sell those 20, and then we'll do a Volume 2 because I think I have enough artwork compiled for a Volume 2. I have at least 3/4 of the amount that it would take to do the book. So I have that, and I just need to find somebody that can compile it. But I believe I'm going to use the same format as Volume 1. So they'll look like accompanying books. So there'll be Volume 1, Volume 2 of Oodles of Doodles and other stuff too. And I might do a black and white cover. So there'll be a black and white cover and a white cover. And that they might have backgrounds that kind of connect the two as one image. And I might release that as a limited print with that campaign as well. So it'll be black and white on the covers of 1 and 2 with maybe a print for both images together. So you'll see black and white in the print. And one thing that I really have wanted to do in these campaigns for a while is to to do a slipcover so that volume 1 and volume 2 could fit into the slipcover. And I'm playing with the idea of maybe a new print run for volume 2. But there's been a lot of demand. I mean, not volume 2, volume 1. So it would be a reprinted version. It wouldn't be the original version, though. Like I said, I have 20 of those left from the original print run. So I'm playing with the idea of possibly going back to print and doing a second printing for Oodles volume 1, if that makes sense. So that's kind of my overall plan. And then with all of those happening, it will give me time and get me into a place where I can start stockpiling black and white volume 2 pages. So I'm talking to a writer right now, and I can't wait. I hope he says yes, because I can't wait to announce it to you guys. Somebody I'll be working with in volume 2. So that could be very, very cool. And so I'm working on volume 2 right now with black and white as well, trying to get the story down. So there's a lot of things happening right now that I wish I could tell you more, and I wish I had more concrete detail. But I think these things are fun just to throw out there and to let you guys know that there are bigger plans for Hack Shack Studios, and I do have things coming down the pipeline, and new and cool stuff for you guys in the future. So, and also I blocked out with my wife last night a follow-up story, a brand new IP that I've been playing around with for a while, with my wife Pamela last night, and she liked the idea. So I have a basic premise for that idea. That story is going to be epic, but I want to tell that in a one and done. So it might be more than a 48-page story, because it's a little bit more in depth than what a 48-page graphic novel could provide. But that will be a bridge that I cross down the line. I wish I had a name, though, because then I could start saying the name right now. So, Muttman, I haven't read this. RT Bear, do you feel like anyone in Comicsgate has heeded your advice when you compare the infighting to the Image days? I thought you made good points, and Comicsgate crowdfunding requires lots of unity. A lot of people talk about it. I know Ethan's mentioned it a couple times on his show, that it was a good video and he liked what I had to say. Let me think about this. There's what I want, and then there's what the reality of the situation is. I think it makes good sense for us all to put the petty differences aside and to work together, even if we're not in lockstep agreement constantly. It makes good business sense. And I thought that the personalities worked real well when Nasser was involved, and Mike Miller, and even Doug. I thought that some of the friction and some of the differences were kind of fun to play out. And as long as we weren't thin-skinned about it and overly precious about what we were saying, it was fine. So I think that we're all individuals, and we're all going to go in our own ways, and we all have our different points of view. But I think that unity works as far as crossing over into each other's live streams and promoting each other's books. So I see some like F unity. Yeah, we are all individuals. That's true, but we still can have unity. We're all Americans. We have unity, but we're all individuals as well. So I think you can have differences of opinion, and that's okay. But if the differences get too bad as well, then, and you can't handle it anymore, then leave, and then just kind of keep your mouth shut, because it does hurt other people's business. So it might be good for your business in a short-term way to blast somebody else, but in the long term, it doesn't. So I think people like when people are relatively getting along and having a good time and moving things forward. Books a year ago were selling better than they are now, and I believe it's because it looked like we were all having a good time and we were all moving towards the same direction. And I think when you don't have unity, or at least an air of unity, it also has confusion in the marketplace. So the market gets a little confused because some people do back certain people and don't, or feel more united, or feel more like they side with these guys than these guys. And so then when things get divided, the fan base can get divided as well. So then the fan base, instead of looking over at maybe one other side's books, they start going, well, if I start looking at that, then I betray these guys. And I don't want to betray these guys. But I kind of like the books over here too, and vice versa. So then the confusion becomes they don't know who to back. And then the worst thing that can come out of this is just that they don't back anything. So they just don't want to offend these guys, or they don't want to offend these guys. So, I think that a certain amount of unity is good, a collective front. I think like I use the band analogy. Like I know that Queen, the band Queen, had differences. There's 4 individuals. They've all written big hits for that band as well. So they all have big egos, and rightly so. Some of them have maybe more hits than others, but even the bass player had Another One Bites the Dust, which was a huge hit. And My Best Friend, I believe that was written by the bass player too. So even somebody that you don't even know his name wrote some of the big hits. So there's some major egos there, huge egos. But the thing is, they kind of went and did solo things because they're creative people, and you can't always, within a unity, a group, it can be everything. It can't, because you have other facets to your personality and your creative desires. So you might have to break out of that group to do these things. But those things usually are not as successful as the group. So take the band Queen. They realized, as a collective, as a unit, they were more popular than each one of them could be individually. So there is a certain amount of truth to unity. There is a certain truth to being part of a group, that when you're divided, you still might be somewhat popular, but you won't be as popular as when you're with that group. And I believe that is a truth. And I believe that there are individuals that could go out and possibly be bigger or as big. You have Peter Gabriel that left Genesis. And so there are those exceptions as well. But I don't think when you do leave these things to go into your own personal creative areas, that you should blast the people that you were associated with. I just think that's just not very tactful. It's not the way I am. And because I've been wronged by Marvel a lot, and I've been wronged by DC as well. But I realize that those are individuals. Sometimes it's not the company, it's not the collective that wronged me. It's an individual that's part of that group. So sometimes too, when you crucify a group or you lock everybody into a group, that can be bad as well, because sometimes it can be just an individual that you have a problem with versus a group of people. So these things we're all humans, man. These are not fundamentally unique to Comicsgate. These aren't new just to us. These are things that have been going on forever. How do you be part of something that's bigger than yourself, and at the same time retain individuality. We all struggle with that every day as being Americans. I mean, America will always be bigger than the individual. The ideas behind this country will always be bigger than us. But we need to support those ideas, and we need to fight for those ideas. And so, that's part of it too. So, man, you talk about going off on a tangent, but I did fill time, and I haven't been reading the chat though. I knew a stripper named Unity. I bet you did read Troutman. That's funny. Let's see what this says. I'm gonna indulge some of these without pre-reading them. If Nasser and Doug started appearing on EV's show again, there would be a small faction who'd be happy to see it. They'd show their true colors, and most of us can't stand them now. Yeah, I mean, sometimes there's damage that's done beyond repair as well. I mean, it's all the above. I'm not saying that we should get back together and all, hold hands and act like nothing happened. I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying that as a collective moving forward, we have to realize that there is a bigger entity here that exists as well. So let me see what else we got here. Muttman, do you think if the Image guys had stayed unified back in the day, they would have continued to dominate the big two? No doubt. And that's why I bring it up. And that's why it's a cautionary tale. And that's why I'm so passionate about this, you guys. Man, that was great. That was great. That hit me deep, Muttman. Thank you. I was there when they were making these decisions. These decisions were beyond me. And I'm not blaming anybody. We all have to do our own thing, but I know that Marvel did come to the Image guys, the Image, 7 core, and said that they wanted the Image guys to come over, and basically they gave them keys to the castle, right? You guys can do anything you want with the Marvel IPs. We just want you guys working on these books. So some of the guys said yes, and some of them said no. And so now you have a house divided, right? You have some people that aren't showing unity to the house, and then you have others that want to keep things together. And I do know that there was a lot of talk about doing a big Image crossover, a huge Image crossover with all, the main 7 titles and then all the secondary titles. Who knows? I mean, Black and White might have even shown up in that story. It was going to be epic. So I know the guys were trying to get that going as well. A big, huge crossover. And I believe, if I'm thinking correctly, the timing was going to be for that summer. And so instead of showing unity and putting out this big Image crossover, some of the members went and started working for Marvel. And basically they were working for the competition. So, like I said, you have to do what you feel is right for yourself, but there is still a greater good that needs to be considered as well. And I believe that Marvel did what they did because they were running scared. I believe Marvel made the offer to the Image guys because they wanted to make their books sell again. Obviously, they wanted to make a stink because they weren't dominating the top 10 anymore. So they knew these guys were as well. So there was like a shared, Marvel, Image, top 30 books, we're back and forth between the two companies. I mean, DC would pop in there every once in a while, but it was mainly those two companies. So when you have, instead of staying the course and being true to what you've created and leaving, I think that I don't know. I don't want to say it was wrong. Like I said, everybody's got to do what they have to do for themselves. But I do know this: if they would have stayed and they would have done this big Image crossover, especially knowing that Marvel was running scared, I think they could have just destroyed Marvel. I think they could have showed, because this was later on in their development too. They could have showed the industry, and they could have showed Marvel once again that they were badass and that they had the goods. And I feel in my heart of hearts that that's what would have happened. I think that Image would have dominated for that summer, for those 3 months, for that big crossover event to happen. I think they would have destroyed them. So, like I said, I try real hard not to, throw shade, as they say. But those are observations that I've had over the years, and it did sadden me because I was part of Image, and I wanted to see that company succeed, and I wanted to see them be huge. I left Marvel too. I left my security to go over there as well, but I wasn't involved in the decision making to do these things. They went beyond me. So, I just got caught up into it, as I am now as well. So, wow, this turned into a very, very deep conversation, you guys. Okay, this is Image lost esteem when they couldn't keep a monthly delivery on the popular titles. The thing is, that train came off the rails the first year. They never were on a monthly schedule. That company was. It really does parallel Comicsgate. There's a lot of things involved behind the scenes, you guys, putting out your own IPs and getting these things started. And comic books, to do them and to build what we're building, it takes many, many, many hours. And what we used to do as creative people is we did one thing for the companies usually. So we would either write, or we would pencil, or we would ink, and we would do that one thing every month. And that took all of our time. So now, you put 2 or 3, 4 other hats on, and then you have to try to, and I'm not making excuses, you have to try to balance all that stuff. And so what ends up happening is, at least for me, I can talk, there's a lot of missteps. For every one success you've seen, there's been 3 missteps that I've taken. So I don't have a proven formula. I don't have a master plan that works in a timely fashion yet. I'm still working on those things. Excuse me. And I know that Ethan talks about it a lot too, that he's trying to iron out and be more realistic with what he can do and what he can't do. Now that we know what it requires, we didn't know what it required before. And Image was the same thing. They didn't really know what was going to be asked of them. So the reason a lot of the books don't come out, and they don't come out on time, is because of all these other things. And there's one thing, I call it putting out fires, is that there's these fires, and they keep popping up throughout the day. And those things have to be dealt with. Like, it's a printer. You have to deal with the printer. Or there's this, there's that, or the other thing. And you have to deal with those. What always ends up happening is the drawing aspects or the creating aspects gets put on the back burner, because that's the only thing that can go on the back burner, because these other things have to be dealt with. They're fires. And if you don't put them out, they go out of control. And so you have days and days of these things. So you really have to learn how to put the fires out quickly, or to make sure the fires don't happen to begin with, so you can spend more time at the drawing board. And what you see a lot is people that are more successful at it are the guys that are able to combine the two. they're able to stay at the drawing board, draw while streaming and things like that. And that is my plan as well, to try to do that a lot more for you guys. So I can draw, we can talk and hang out, and I can keep moving forward that way. What ends up happening is most of my early part of the day is putting out fires, and then the later part in the evening is when it slows down, I start drawing again. And if you notice, most of these guys, they draw late at night, and it's because of that. It's because of all the fires that they're putting out throughout the day. So let's go back a little bit. You guys are okay. It can finally hear all their backstories. Yeah, I mean, I try to give it insight to it. A lot of what's happening too is just human nature. It's just human nature. It was bound to happen. There's egos. There's a lot of things going on. It's not just one thing. And just like life, it very rarely is just one thing. It's a series of things. However, I would really hate to see this whole movement kind of dry up. I want to see it succeed. I want to see it continue. I'm not saying it's the savior of the industry, but it's definitely something I look forward to every day. It's something I look forward to supporting and helping build. It gets me excited every day. A lot of these IPs that I'm doing and I'm bringing to you guys are dreams I've had for 25 years. I'm not kidding. These are things that I've had to put on the back burner for years, because it didn't make good business sense. It didn't make sense to walk away from Marvel DC money to do, even as good as Image was, to do a really iffy project. And I had done some in that amount of time, and most of the time those projects were break-even projects, with the Indiegogo and the CG template, that a lot of people that are non-CG are still starting to look at as inspiration, will be a way for at least me to create comics in the future. And that's what I really want. I want a creative outlet that goes beyond the mainstream, or even goes beyond the conventional indie comics like Image or Dark Horse. I don't have a problem with any of those companies, but the business model doesn't make sense for somebody like me. You just can't make enough money doing it. So with these Indiegogo projects, you can. Hey, Arthur Brown, could you put a link to Chrono Mechanics in the chat, please? I can do it as well. Yeah, so that's why it's so important for me to get the word out, and this is the Chrono link. To get the word out, and hopefully I'll be creating books and writing stories that you guys like, that you genuinely like. You don't feel like you need to support these just because, I'm a nice guy. Although I don't have a track record other than, the 35 years of working at Marvel and DC. But as far as like indie books and these things, I don't have a lot of track record. So, I'm hoping that you guys will like these. Black and White will be the first one, that you'll like it so much that you stay with it, and that you want to hear the stories I have to tell. Let me read this one. Well, you got a point. They silence you so they don't have to make a response, which is what I see many times. They just ended up blocking you. Yeah, you're right. My bad. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe there's a conversation going on here that I'm not privy to. Let's go with Slick Rick here. Couldn't the CG creators join together to sort a deal with one reliable printer for their books. Doesn't have to be under one company name. This is a really good idea, Slick Rick. It is a really good idea. And I'll tell you why else it's a good idea. Hold on. Is because I know that Image Comics has credit with printers. So you can get these books done on credit. And also, since they bring so much business to certain printers, that they get lower rates and they get priority service. So one of the reasons, like with Black and White, that took so long is we just didn't get the priority service. The reason I have books right now is because I paid $450 to get these advanced books to me so I could get them to you. So I had to pay, I call it blood money. I had to pay some blood money to get those books and advance shipment of books so I could get those out to you guys, so I could keep my word that mid-November you would have those books. And so it was worth it more to me to get those books to you than to, shell out the blood money. But if you use the same printer, you might be able to get cut discount rates because you're bringing so much work into them, and that you would get possibly preferred service, meaning, they would prioritize your books and get them done quicker. Like I said, I think Black and White, what happened is we just weren't a priority. And also China took a week off. So I believe that some of the smaller, just these smaller print runs probably get pushed to the side. But if you had X amount of, books that you're printing monthly from this company, they would treat you differently. So I think you would get preferred treatment and you may get a discount. The problem is we're all individuals. So, how, I forget who said it's kind of punk rock. I think one of the aspects that people like is that we are all individuals and that we're kind of punk rock and we're all doing our own thing, which is very, very cool. But this is one of those flip side benefits of, if you could get your act together, that's not the right way of putting it, but if you could work more as a collective and you could, at least get together enough that you could figure out a single printer to work with, then you could possibly benefit from that. So, Slick Rick, where do you get this insight, man? Like, it looks like you either are putting out a book or you have put out a book before. Do you have a personal philosophy on doing business in a diverse environment? Muttman, diverse environment. Are you kind of talking about some of the more agenda stuff with Marvel, DC, things like that? If so, I don't know. If those are the books they want to put out, fine, put those books out. But the thing is, the problem is they're isolating a lot of people in the process. And these are like really weird either or scenarios that they're creating for themselves. And I just don't think that, if I was running DC and Marvel, I wouldn't do. If I wanted some stuff that was more progressive, then I would do that with certain titles. And I would market and sell those in that way. But I don't think that making your main characters, Batman, Spider-Man, Superman, these type characters, when you start making them agenda driven or agenda based, is a good idea. Because I do think that you're narrowing your margin. You're tailoring them to a certain type of clientele. And I think, like with Black and White and Chrono Mechanics, it's everybody and anybody. Anybody can pick these books up and enjoy them. They're not tailored to one political agenda or one ideology or any of those things. I just want to tell good action adventure stories. That's it. That's all. I have no vested interest in putting out a political agenda and things like that. And I'm not saying that comics or stories can't be political. I'm not saying that. But some of the stuff that we're seeing now aren't story oriented. They're agenda oriented. If it's story based, fine, let's do that. But I don't think this stuff, all of it, is story oriented. I think it's agenda based. And when you start doing that, you start isolating people. My parents used to say, sex, religion, politics. In polite company, you do not talk about those three things. And the reason you don't is because you will piss somebody off. It's a guarantee. It is a guarantee. If you want to light that match, those three things are the powder keg, and those will set people off. They always have, and they always will. These are fundamental truths. So if you're going to start getting into those things, you're going to get backlash. It's that simple. There's no way around it. There just isn't. Oh, thank you, Arthur Brown. I see this here. If you guys don't know, I do have an Indiegogo that's running strong right now. It is called Chrono Mechanics. And if you want to bop out, go check it out, come back. That'd be cool. If not, it is in the link. So after this stream, you can check it out. I would greatly appreciate it. And I'll probably do a sales pitch on that. But I think I asked for a topic, you guys. I asked for interaction. You guys sure as hell are putting me on the hot seat here. So I'm squirming a little bit, but I'm having fun at the same time. And hopefully we're doing some good here as well. Some of the pros have a lot of skill in making art, but are terrible at PR. Their failures too often cause them to devolve into a frame of mind that the customer fan are the enemy. Yeah, and you know what? I'll go back. Okay, hold on. This is an inside observation I've had for many, many, many years. There's a certain level of shame that comic book artists have. God, this is getting really deep, you guys. I'm not sure that I heard Frank Miller talk about it, and he says it came from when the comics industry bowed to the Comics Code Authority, when all that, when comics came in and the whole, what was it, the seduction of the innocent and the McCarthy era and all that stuff happened, that comics kind of, they lost their cojones and they bowed to this type of censorship. And that instead of just being loud and proud and putting books out, they felt like that they had to make a certain type of book and they had to conform to a certain criteria. But that's not unto itself, that's not necessarily bad. But I believe what happened as well is that the psychology changed. I think people that were doing comic books started feeling a little shamed. They started kind of believing that if it's going to go to, all the way to like these political debates, and that, politicians were going to talk about the welfare of children, and that maybe comic books were, somehow creating delinquents and creating this like bad children, you know what I mean? Going off and doing horrible things. Like that has to affect those creators' psychology, right? They have to start thinking like, is there some truth to this? I wasn't there when all this happened, but I'm a human being and I can feel what went down there. And so what I think happened is those guys started letting this stuff get into them. They started thinking like, well, maybe there is some truth to this. Maybe, we do have to think about what we're putting out there and what we're not putting out there. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but what I think happened is that instead of everybody kind of feeling good about what they were doing and putting it out there in a mainstream way, they started narrowing it down, and they started second guessing the product, and they started kind of having a little bit of guilt and shame. And so over the years, inherently, it became fundamentally part of comic books. So instead of like being loud and proud and like, I'm going to put this book out, it's going to be right next to Time magazine, it's going to be right there on the racks just with every other book, man, I'm going to compete, it's going to be everywhere. They start thinking like, well, you know, we deserve whatever we get, whatever we sell is fine, you know, like kind of like this whatever attitude. So instead of saying, let's make great product, let's get it out there, let's market it, let's do all this stuff, there started becoming a little shame attached to it. And so generationally, this became ingrained into the industry. And Frank Miller I wish I had the interview where he talks about this. And he said, you know, we should have not done those things. And that shame then becomes our legacy, and it just keeps getting pushed down and down and down to the generation that I am part of. And so then what happens is, instead of being really proud of what you're doing, you start thinking like, I shouldn't want everybody to read these books. I shouldn't want to get this out. I deserve whatever it is I get. You know, there's like this weird, and I'm not saying everybody in the business feels this way. I'm talking about like this low key kind of feeling, this vibe that's always there, and it always exists. So comic book artists and publishers are very humble. I think that's probably the best way to put it. They're very humble. And one of my favorite things about Image Comics in the Marvel years before Image is not that we weren't humble, and it's not that we didn't feel like that we were answering to readers and fans and stuff like that. But there was a certain air of like, oh my gosh, the sky's the limits. We could do incredible stuff. We could do variants. We could do foil. We could entertain our wildest fantasies. We could put out IPs of things that we never could before. So all these things became like tangible. You could do these things. Where the industry, it was always kind of like there was this thing that was pushing you down. I guess self-esteem. The industry just didn't have the self-esteem. So when Image came up and we started selling millions of books, it's like, yeah, we can do this. You know, we can kick ass. We could put everything we have in these books. We could stay up freaking 15 hours a day. We could pull all-nighters, and we could do all this stuff, and it was worth it because the money made sense. And all of a sudden we were like, yeah, we are selling what rock stars are selling. You know, I say this all the time because I'm a musician. I would have a wall of gold records right now because I've been part of books that have sold over a million copies, and multiple books books that have done this. So right, the music industry acknowledges it. The music industry goes, here's a gold record, here's a platinum record, you know, here's all these things. Like, you guys did great. Let's celebrate this. Comic books don't. You know, comic books don't. We're like, we're always kind of humble. You know, we're hiding in the shadows. We're just putting out our little books, and we hope that, you know, people will support them. No, that's what has to change. That's what has to change. Somebody has to go up to Warner Brothers and say, you need to start advertising these books. We have Warner Brothers. We have all these outlets. There's no reason comic books couldn't sell 1 million books. There's no reason. We've done it before. There's a template for it. It's not like it's taboo. It's not like it hasn't been done. It was done in the 90s. That wasn't that long ago. You know, why couldn't it happen again? Oh, the perfect storm at the perfect time, the speculators, whatever. No, you throw a killer party, which is what Comicsgate is. You throw a killer ass party and you're going to have people that want to come to that party. That's it. That's it, man. You have a good time. You invite people in. You say, "Hey, let's hang out. Let's party. Let's do some cool shit. Let's get some cool comic books out there. Let's entertain the masses." Things change. Things change. And it doesn't take a bunch of high-profile people. Look at Marvel, DC. They have the best of the best in the industry right now. Look what they're selling. If the best of the best is all it takes, then why aren't those books selling better? You know what I mean? How come some of these indie books, these Comicsgate books, are making hundreds of thousands of books? Some of these books with, the multiple, Indiegogo campaigns have done close to 1 million, if not 1 million. And there have been multiple people that have done that, not just one, multiple people. Some people, there's been quite a few people that have done 100,000 plus, $100,000 worth of sales, you guys. Don't piss this away, man. This is crazy shit, man. This is the party. Don't mess this up, man. Don't mess this up. We can continue doing this. And the more this platform makes sense monetarily, the more people are going to come to it. Not just the people that don't have options and just are looking for a place to publish books, but you're going to get some A-list guys in there. You're going to start seeing people emulate this template. You're going to start seeing this a lot more because it makes sense. And you guys are the big reason. Everybody in the chat right now, everybody that supports these books, this is the only reason this is happening right now. You guys are loyal. You're getting the word out there, and you're backing the stuff with your hard-earned dollars. And that's what makes the difference. That's what makes the difference. And if you can encourage enough people like myself, the sky's the limits. I got all kinds of ideas. They just don't make good business sense right now. If they did, you'd start seeing them. You would start seeing them. What pains me all the time is when I see, like, there's these people, right? And they have all these resources. They have billions of dollars or millions of dollars, right? And all they can think about it is just partying, like doing drugs, alcohol, whatever. And they have no imagination. It's like, oh, I'll open a boutique, or I'll do, the Kardashian money, or whatever. These guys could creatively fund, production companies. They could manufacture, they could create, they could do all kinds of things. They could put all kinds of people to work. They just don't have a vision. Somebody like me that has a vision, I just don't have the resources. If I had the resources, oh my gosh, you guys. You see some crazy shit happening, man. I always say that, man. Like those guys, they have everything. It wouldn't even take a smidge of those resources, and you'd see all kinds of stuff change. As far as I'm concerned, for me, if I had those resources, it's wasted on those guys. They just don't have an imagination. They don't have a vision. I do. Best the best. Their fired Frank Cho for sexy women drawings. Will never buy a Marvel book again after treating artists like that. Well, you know what? Frank has dabbled in some indie crowdfund books. The more the merrier, man. The more the merrier. You don't need these companies anymore. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I think somebody like Frank Cho could go over and could do reasonably well. I think the reason people don't is Marvel and DC are tried and true. They know they're going to be there tomorrow, for right or wrong. They're going to be there. There's speculation that they might not be, but I've been doing this for 35 years. I've heard this talk on and off through my whole career. that comics were going to die, it's going to go away. Usually, as soon as that talk happens, then a new wave hits, and it gives new hope, and the comics industry does good for a while. The problem with the comics industry is they just don't know how to sustain it. They don't know how to sustain the success. The only way that you can build these IPs, you can create these companies, is stuff like what I'm doing right now. You have to advertise, you have to talk to people, you have to get the word out, and you have to do it in a way that's personalized. I think people are way more sophisticated today than they were back then, and you could just throw a commercial out there. Although I'm not saying commercials wouldn't help. I think they would help greatly. But I think the reason Marvel in the 60s did so well is you had Stan Lee that was breaking down the walls, man. He's breaking down those walls, man. Pink Floyd. And he was going right to the people. He was talking directly to the people. And he was saying, Marvel is a party. Marvel is a party, and you're all invited. And everybody's welcome. Hack Shack Studios, these IPs, everybody's welcome. Come support, read, enjoy, ask me questions. That's what it's all about. And to be honest, I have been doing this for a long time, and I'm having the time of my life, even with these tougher questions and the heavier subject matter that we're dealing with right now. This is all good, you guys. This is all good. And the one thing about the Image Days, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything when I was working at Marvel. I didn't say anything when I was working at DC. I've been doing this for 35 years. I'm 58 years old now. I don't have a whole lot to lose, and I don't care anymore. So, as long as it makes sense, I'll tell these cautionary tales. I'll say things in the way that makes sense and are positive, and that can keep things moving forward. I don't believe in shit slinging. I don't believe in any of that stuff. I don't think it gets anybody anywhere. It might get you a few subs in the short term, but ultimately, I don't think it does. It does very well, and it doesn't have a lot of integrity attached to it. So it's just not gonna come from me. I'll do fun stuff like the other day where I threw Lou Ferrigno under the bus. But you know what? That guy he was a jerk. He's a big hulking jerk. And I do have a Marvel story, and I've been teasing it for the last year. I've actually told the story only one place publicly, and I don't know if Mitch Bratweiser pulled it down, but we were having a great conversation, kind of like what I'm doing right now with you guys in the chat, just kind of like a heartfelt, deeper subject matter. And I told the story, and it just made sense at the time. So I don't know if he still has it posted or, up where you could view it, but we did talk. And I think at some point I will tell that story again, but I'm going to tell it as it makes sense and as it pertains to something that's happening, because I don't just want to come up with stuff that just seems out of the blue. So I do have a lot of stories, and they're all kind of back here, and I want to tell those to you, but I also want them to make sense, because I don't want to seem like I'm just bagging or I'm bitching or moaning or complaining. I want them to be in the form of somewhat of a cautionary tale, something that makes sense, to promote and to get us into a better place. Yeah, on Mitch's stream, Mitch Bratweiser, who is a guy that really tries to keep his head above the muckety muck stuff. So Mitch has a ton of integrity. Once again, just like Mitch, we've taken a couple missteps, but the thing is, Mitch understands the steps now. I mean, one of the things about the human condition is sometimes you don't know how badly the misstep has been until the dominoes start falling. Sometimes it could be 2 or 3 dominoes. Sometimes it can keep going. And then all you have left is your integrity, and how do you right the wrong. I told my daughter when I was raising her, I said, don't worry. You will hurt people's feelings. You will do some bad things. Trying to do really bad things that you obviously know are bad and that will hurt people. But you will do that at some point in your life. And it's not that you won't and that you should feel bad the rest of your life. It's what you do afterwards that shows your character. So if you hurt somebody's feelings or you did something wrong, make amends. Do something. Do something to better it. Some people won't accept apologies. Some people won't, won't care that you humble yourself to them and you try to make things right. But that doesn't matter either. You tried to do it, and you did the best job you could to right the wrong. And then you just have to deal with it and move on and then live and learn from the mistakes and try not to repeat them. And that's all we can do as humans. That's all we can do. We will do stuff. We will mess up, but it's what you do afterwards. And so with Black and White, I do realize that it did take a little longer than I had expected and that I had told you initially. But I am doing, like, I can hear the tape ripping. I don't know if you guys can hear that. My wife downstairs, all I hear every day is that tape. You know how it's on that roll and you rip it and then you cut it. It's got the little gun-like thing on it. That's what she's doing. I can hear it downstairs. She's putting boxes together right now, you guys. So that's all we can do is to try to show you that we're good for it and to right the ship and put it in the direction it needs to be, and then to live and learn. And with Chrono Mechanics, we will not repeat the same missteps, but there may be some others. We're human. But you have to, it's all part of the equation, right? If you can't forgive yourself and you can't move forward, then what, what good is there? We will screw up. Humans are humans. What is this? Art's hairstyle is on point today. Ooh, thank you. Thank you. She actually put some kind of product in it. I never put anything. I was going to say I blow and go, but I don't even do that. This is my routine, you guys. After the shower, I just do like the Three Stooges, and then I just move on. That's my style. Low maintenance. The beard came out of just laziness. If I just kind of shave it, once every week and a half, then I'm fine. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. And thank you guys for allowing me to do this, because this went in the direction that you steered. You put the ship in that direction. I just went with it. So very cool. I'm glad you appreciate just watching the cautionary tale video from last month. You speak wisdom, Art. I guess, what do you expect from somebody as old as me, right? What if I was acting like an irresponsible, 20-something? That would be really, really weird. Well, thank you very much, Sketch. I'll tell Sam at the where I get my hair cut. I feel weird saying salon. I do miss just barbershops. We do have a barbershop in town, but it's not exactly close. And Sam and her husband, it's a local business. I like supporting the local business, and also all we do is talk politics. It's like a watering hole, like an old saloon, because everybody that goes there is, I guess, more conservative leaning. I'm sure we're not in lockstep agreement, but there's enough overlap there that the salon actually talks. It's so funny, openly about politics, SJW stuff, and things like that. So it's actually pretty fun, because when I went in there today, Sam said, "Don't worry, Art. There's our people are here today," or she said something like that. I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." What is this? Samedi. I like Samedi. I call him unsaleable. I don't know what that means. Yeah. I think Mitch is playing the long ball game. And I talked to him early on about possibly bringing IPs over to his publishing investment company. And a lot of it I like. There's just certain things, there's certain aspects to it that I'm kind of working around. And I'm not saying that I may not do stuff in the future, so I sound like Samedi Alterna are having printer problems. Are they really? Huh. I don't know. I'll have to talk to him about that. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I'll tell her that you said go. I'd yell it right now, but I did that before, and you guys yelled at me because the mic is right here. I think my daughter yelled, "Dinner's ready," and I said, "I'm coming," and I yelled it really loud, and you guys were like, "Ah, what the hell? You're yelling right now." Oh, we have Awful Redneck Gaming in the chat. You have a thing for Mike. For Mike, this Mike, or Mike Miller? I like Mike. I like everybody. I like Doug. I don't like everything they say. I don't like everything they do, but I have all kinds of friends that I don't agree with 100%. That's why I have many different friends. I go to this group of friends that agree with me on this, and I talk about those things. And I have my friends over here that like certain things. I talk to them about that, and then I have friends over here. And isn't that why you have many friends? Because there's many facets to all of us as persons, and not one group and not one set of friends is going to be everything that you need. We all are very complex. Simon, sorry, but no, we have not. Like the advanced books that we got were they were just this version. But the good thing about it is that we have everything in house except for the Greg Capullo variants. So I'm glad you brought this up. So it's a good way to clarify. So if you did order one of the variants, they're not going out right now. But what Pamela is doing right now to keep things fair, or to make things as fair, we're not doing all the core books. We're not doing all the books in ash cans. We're not doing all the books with the Oodles book. She's varying them. Like she's doing one of this tier, one of this tier, one of this tier. So she's doing that right now. I'm sure once we get the main bundle, shipment of books in, and we have a ton of books to go from, I'm sure she'll be more formulaic with it, like all the ash cans. This makes sense. All the whatever, books and variants, because that'll make sense. But right now, so she's a very fair-minded person. So what she's trying to do is not just go, oh, I'm going to favor this group or that group. She's trying to get all the different tiers out pretty much at the same time, just so it doesn't feel like we're playing favorites with any one specific tier. So some just the core books are going out, some of the ash cans, some of basically all the different tiers. So just know that is happening. Ooh, I like this. The Silver Fox. I grew up in the era when Foxy was considered attractive. So the Silver Fox works for me. Foxy lady. What? I don't know what this means, but I hope it means something good. I don't know. My dad, the hairline is kind of going back just a little bit, but both on my mom's side and my dad's side of the family, they all kept their hair. So I think I'm good there. We have other problems like dying young. My parents were very, very young. A hair flip? No, you guys are getting weird now. No, 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 no. No, it's not going to happen. LOL, art is wiser. Hey, Ted. I don't recognize your name, but this is Ted. Is it Carpus? Hi, and welcome to the chat. LOL. Art is the wiser elder we wanted Edwin to be. Yeah, don't count your eggs. I could betray you all in a heartbeat. I'll say something that'll piss somebody off at some point you watch. Oh gosh, you guys are like, really? This is okay, you guys. This is it, man. I'm gonna have to sport this haircut. This is gonna go right to Sam at the salon head because I'm gonna tell her all these great compliments. My wife's got good hair too. I'm not even gonna read that out loud. Oh shit. You guys are so good for the ego, man. Sonic Goon, welcome to the chat. I didn't welcome you to the chat, but maybe. I despise Mike and Doug. I don't know. I think sometimes if we can recognize personality traits and we can acknowledge those earlier on, we can be friends because then we won't feel betrayed when certain things happen. We'll just accept people for who they are and what they are. Wow, that sounded really deep. I should write a book. I'm just going to use this for like what I just said, but it wasn't for what I just said. I think I got to prepare. I'm not sure that they're going to do one of those drawn and quartered whatevers, but there's speculation that we may do a chronomechanics one. So that'll be fun. I think I don't know. These are all tentative. I don't think anything's concrete, but it might be on Tug's channel. So I'm not sure what's really going on there. So don't quote me, but we may be doing chronomechanics characters on Tug's channel. Yeah, I should. Yeah, I definitely should make an honest woman out of her. That would be good. Yeah, I don't know. I've been tempted, to possibly talk more, and I'm sure if I went on to Mike's live stream, he would probably try to it's one of the fun aspects of Mike, that he likes to kind of put you on the spot. So he'd probably ask me a very direct question: how do I feel about all this stuff? And he's tried to do that before, but I am the silver fox, and I just like everybody. That's my go-to. I don't really have a problem. I have some problems with some of the things that are destructive and that hurt the, I guess, the more commerce aspects. Yeah, I think Yellow Flash did the first one. I don't know what's going on. So I don't really know, you guys. So I'm kind of speculating. I'm just throwing stuff out there that potentially that's where I'm going to be tonight. So I'm not. Yeah, it's drawing fire. Okay. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going out right now. So yeah, I'm not really sure where all this is going to happen or not, but I'm going to stay loose. I'm going to stay frosty, as they say. And I should probably start winding this down. Thank you guys so much, man. I mean, before you brought this up, I was getting ready to sign off. So I think we got deeper into some of these things, and I think these are good because at the very least, you know where I stand with all of this. What do they call it? Scams and schemes or shenanigans or whatever it is. People are people. I think some of the drama is good. I think some of the drama is good for business. WrestleMania, soap operas, X-Men. A lot of these things are based on the more soap opera-y aspects. So all controversy isn't necessarily bad. And we'll just see how it all plays out. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like just personally that some of the stuff I put up on the auctions doesn't do as well as it should. Maybe I should put like a minimum bid down so you guys can kind of know what the values on these auctions are. Because I think some of the stuff in the auctions goes for way too little, to be honest. I know that's part of the fun sometimes is that you can get a deal at the auctions, but some of the stuff that I put up is kind of valuable. Okay. We had the great Kyung Lee. We've been talking a lot about you launching your newsprint version of Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb. That's a mouthful. And maybe you and I should do something in the future, and we can talk about this. Maybe get Peter Samedi in, because I know you have more of an in with him, and we can talk about the potential of doing this, because I think it's worthwhile to do some kind of scaled back versions of these books and see what happens, but still do, you know, the bells and whistles version as well, because those are fun. Those are fun, big campaigns. But the other ones could be fun as well in just a different way. Oh, you guys are not going to let me leave. Look at all these. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. I've known Mike years and years before Comicsgate, and same with Doug, and both have been very supportive of some of my indie projects. Doug has given me a lot of really sound advice in the day. I have a Doug story that'll be pretty fun. I just thought of it the first time I met Doug. So possibly I should tell that. And wait, I have actually something I just found. Where is it? Oh, here it is. This is how cool Doug can be. This is when he was working on Cat Scratch for Nickelodeon. And I was at a con. I think it was San Diego Comic-Con. And my daughter was the perfect age for Cat Scratch. So Amanda loved the show. I think this is Mr. Blick. No. Mr. Blick is the black cat. I forget what character this is. But he signed it Amanda, Doug TenNapel. And this used to be in a frame on her wall in her room. And then she growed up, and she didn't want cartoon drawings on her wall anymore. So now it's mine. It's mine. So he was nice enough to he just gave that to her. That was very, very sweet. And this is a production drawing for the show. You can see the animation where they all kind of lock in. So I wish I knew the animator's name, but yeah, Doug had some of those, and he just gave those. So yeah, I can't really throw too much shade. Like I said, I have friends that I don't agree with everything that they do, but there's enough commonality that I can still stay their friends. So unless they go out of their way to personally hurt me or to hurt my business, then that would be a different story. But none of this has been personal yet. So if we can keep it professional, the friendship will sustain. If somebody attacks me, I'll pull off the gloves. It'll be a different story at that point. That is funny. That is funny. Yeah, Awful Redneck Gaming always has great insight. Yeah, it started off as one thing. I was just gonna have a little bit of fun, hang out in the chat, and then this got very deep. You can tell, like, you can always tell when it goes long because the lighting in the room changes, because the shadows are starting to form on the walls over there and everything. So yeah, but this has been a lot of fun. I hope you guys got some insight out of it, and had as much fun as I did. I also showed some artwork early on, some commissions. So if you didn't check out the early part of this, please do so. I haven't said this lately, but if you could, everybody, thumbs up for this video if you liked it. It does help my algorithms. And check your subs, because there has been some purging done by YouTube. You guys have been very supportive. The numbers have been going up quite a bit lately. So I do really appreciate this, but there's still, this is my ultimate advertising tool. So I try to keep it entertaining, but at the same time, this is how I get the message out. So the bigger I can grow this channel, and the more support I can get, the better, because it's just going to allow me, like I said, I don't have Kardashian money. It'll allow me to make these dreams come true and to keep building these IPs and entertaining you with hopefully good comic book product. Hopefully you guys will like Black and White a lot, because it was a definite labor of love. And the sensibilities are just fun. It's not meant to be taken too seriously and to be too critical. It's just fun. I was going to. I actually had this. This is my my next commission. So that's Red Sonja. She's pulling the sword from the back. I did have one worked out where she was doing this, but those big broadswords, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it'd be too practical to pull it that way. They're heavy. They're heavy. Yeah, so we started chilling, and then we got pretty heavy. Got some pretty heavy duty stuff here. Thanks, Sonic Goon. Great stream today. We need more people like you in CG. Well, you know what? If nothing more, just to try to balance it out. I think life is all the above, right? Everybody has a different point of view. How boring would life be if we all were in lockstep agreement? And also, if we were in all lockstep agreement, guess what? Freedom wouldn't exist anymore. We would not have freedom. I always tell like SJW types, or these people that are more like, ooh, let's censor language, let's give more rights to the government, let's do all these things. It's like, as much as utopia sounds good, I guess, when you're a child, the reality of utopia would mean that we would all have to be in lockstep agreement. And for that to happen, freedom would be the first thing that would go away. Because the only way you can get lockstep agreement is to give away your freedom, because everybody has to agree. So that means no points of view. You would have no points of view. Everything that we're talking about right now, right, wrong, or indifferent, we wouldn't be able to talk about. Somebody would have to shut us down. They'd have to shut us down because it didn't fit their narrative. And that's the scary part, that they think that utopia is a good way to go, is a worthy pursuit. Utopia is not a worthy pursuit. It is doom. It will doom freedom. There's been hundreds of cautionary tales that have been told. That's why I love sci-fi, because sci-fi, when done best, are cautionary tales. You know, Frankenstein was one of the first sci-fi, also written by a woman. So, you know, any feminists out there, let's start celebrating this stuff instead of saying, oh, they're so underrepresented. As far as I know, Mary Shelley created sci-fi. So I was going to give a middle finger. Well, you know, screw you guys. And it's still one of the strongest and one of the best cautionary tales we have out there. And 1941, hell, even something as silly as Logan's Run, cautionary tale. These are all cautionary tales, you guys. People used to understand this. I think the closest thing we can come is a democracy and capitalism, and the template that America has put out there for the world. Everybody can use this template. A lot of countries have tried to adapt to them. I think it's the best we can do. Govern ourselves and set up laws that don't just represent a certain type of person, that can go to multi-people, that represents the greater number. And if you can do that, then most likely it's a good law if it benefits everybody. And that's all we can do. That's all we can do. There's always going to be shitty people. There's always going to be assholes. And there's always going to be things that that are bad, quite frankly. It's human nature. But the best thing we can do is try to figure out how we can deal with that in the best, most humane way possible. That's it. That's all we can do. And I do believe, you know, that America is the shining example, as long as we can stick to those principles and not have everybody get in the way and start going, I'm triggered because of this word, so I'm going to give the government control to censor these words or these terms or these things. Man, they don't understand how dangerous that is. You don't think a government's going to just, they'll fall right into that. Oh, you want to give them your rights? They'll love that, man. Who wouldn't? You're falling right into what they want, you know? Like, government is only as kind and as caring as we force them to be. That's it. They answer to us. And when they stop answering to us, then we're going to have a problem. So I'm really going off on a tangent now. Muttman, if you didn't see the earlier part of this stream, I talked about reissuing Black and White and possibly doing that in a saddle stitch newsprint version. So I'm looking into the price point and doing it that way. And I'm going to overprint the original Black and White Bells and Whistles version, this version here. However, it's going to be at a premium price, and I'm trying to figure out if I should do it in the newsprint, like give everybody access to this one with the newsprint Indiegogo campaign, or if I should wait for volume 2 and then offer, once again, this version with that. So there's still some planning, still some decision making that has to be there. But the good thing is, Muttman, you will have access to the story. So if you didn't get in early on the original Black and White volume 1 campaign, you will have access to buy this one again, but it'll be at a premium price. It will not be at that original Indiegogo price, because a lot of what we're seeing too is these Indiegogo books are going up in value. So I'll see what the street value is at that time, and I'll assess, you know, where it's going to be at that point. However, the newsprint will be more of an introduction to a different tier type book. So that's going to be an experiment. And I believe the Black and White newsprint reissue will probably be early next year. So February or January is not a great month, but February is a pretty good month. So it'll probably launch early February. So I hope that answered your question. Oh, here's the wolf. So DeWolf is one of my pontificator buddies on the Pontificator show. That's every Friday, and it's usually around 5, 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So yeah, it's okay. We can all disagree. My wife and I disagree a lot, but if there's mutual respect, it's fine. It's all okay. We don't have to agree all the time. Yes, I agree, Caesar. Utopia is futile. Yeah, it's master of the chill. There's some people accusing me of not being chill enough. Yeah, it's pointless. It's pointless. It sounds virtue. It sounds like it sounds good. Like even socialism sounds good, but the reality, it's a ruse, man. It's a pyramid scheme. There's no shortcut way, you guys. Everything that's worthwhile takes effort, man. Calories burnt. You have to give to get. Sometimes you have to give more than what you're going to receive as well. It's just the way life is. People that don't understand that don't understand basic fundamentals of life. They think that they should get something for nothing. I've never seen that as the case in my life. Mary Shelley is my choice for the scariest horror. Freaks me out. Yes, Mary Shelley always gets thrown into the horror category, but maybe we can talk about this on a Pontificators. You always bring up good stuff, DeWolf. Is it true horror, or is it classic sci-fi in the most classic sense of the cautionary tale? It's science run amok. I think it's more of a science fiction story than a horror story. I think the monster aspects get overlooked. It does get into the horror genre, but maybe at the very least we give her the pass and say that it not only did it create science fiction, but science horror. Alien, the first Alien is science horror. Science fiction horror, I should say. Excuse me, I hate when I have to do that. Give the government control and you're screwed. Yeah, you can't trust them. There's checks and balances. There has to be checks and balances. You can't trust any human. Ultimate power will corrupt ultimately. These are fundamental truths. They're just fundamental truths. We have to understand these things, or we're doomed. There are some things that you can negotiate, you can debate, but there are fundamental truths. I think if you gave somebody absolute power, or give power over somebody, as good of a person that they start out to be, I think at some point they will start abusing it, and use that against people. It's just human nature. To what degree, who knows? That's why I don't think we should have career politicians, but that's another discussion. God, you guys are on fire. Yeah, this is good, Nathan. Thank you. I'm never going to get out of here. We're going to go into a whole political rant if I do not. Maybe do both as long as it works for you to pay the bills and the art retirement plan far into the future. Yeah, well, I'll tell you right now, part of my retirement is funding my day-to-day as well, and I don't mind it. I did very, very well in the 90s, and I wasn't stupid. So financially, I'm doing okay. But to move forward in these Indiegogos, they have to start not just breaking even, but that's weird, is they actually have to not break even and pay the bills, but they actually have to project you to do kind of the next campaign. So every campaign sort of pays for the next campaign, and then so on and so on. So the one thing that gets overlooked is the time, because time is money. So if you can overfund, that will give you more time to do the next project. So that's kind of the basic math in these things. And so that's why I'm investing money back into this, is because my wife is being very supportive. We're going long haul with this thing. So I figure like with DC and Marvel, I tell on these channels, I say they need a long haul plan as far as advertising these books. They advertise, they put out promotion for a small period of time. It doesn't do well, and then they just give up. These campaigns have to be months and months and months and years to change people's spending habits, to get people on board to do these things. It's one person at a time, and it takes time. And that's the fundamental problem with a lot of these things, is that if you don't fund well, you just don't have the time. And if you don't have the time, then you just have to go in a different direction to get money that takes less of an investment as far as your time. And that's a reality that a lot of comics gators and just people that are working independently find out. The one problem, well, what a lot of people do is they keep their day job. But for me, my day job is so time consuming, I could never really separate those two. So I tried early on. I was working on Super Sons at DC Comics while I was working on Black and White, and then trying to do all these other things. That's another thing that slowed me down, a misstep at the very beginning. It was because of that, because I thought I could kind of balance all these things, and the reality just was not the case. It would have been amazing if I could, because then I could pay my bills with, the day job stuff with Marvel or DC, on Super Sons. And then anything I got with Black and White on Indiegogo would kind of be icing on the cake. But there's only so many hours in the day. And okay, but the thing is, like, this is where Pulido has it over like me, or even Ethan, or some of these other guys. If I was just writing a book, I'd have a ton of time to campaign. If I didn't have to draw and ink these things and then oversee the art direction, and I was just kind of handling the promotion aspects of it, the campaign, and then just writing the book, I would have way more time. But he is nailing it. And the thing is, he's doing it over and over and over again. So he's building trust with fulfilling these books, and he's building a destination for people to go to. So if you like that kind of entertainment, it's bringing people in, and that he's fulfilling, and then he's got another campaign that's coming afterwards. So he is killing it. But I just kind of felt just to throw, like a little reality there. I do envy him, because once again, his level of time is less investment than mine. So it changes. So that's one thing that I'm also looking forward, or I'm looking into as well, is to try to, there'll be projects that I'm personally passionate about that I'll work on 100%, but that there may be IPs that I have certain levels of interaction with. Like maybe I'll just write it, or maybe I'll write and ink it, or, I'll give it to, like, the idea to a writer, and then just kind of keep it at that. But somehow that I'm always creating and moving forward. And I do believe that in the future, to do that, I'm going to have to partner with more people. Once again, the problem with that is the money. You have to pay people. and I try to pay people as they do the work. So I try not to pay them on the back end, although sometimes I've had to do that. But even like Taylor Grosso and our agreement was off the back end, but I was giving her like money as we moved against back end, so that she could survive and pay her bills. So even though it was on the back end, I still made an exception, because it's really hard to go 3 months, 4 months, 6 months without money coming in. So it becomes tough. So that's another obstacle to get past if I'm going to move forward, that I have to have some kind of deep pockets that I can pull from to invest into these other artists and partner with different people. Yeah, I mean, sometimes, even a day job can be all consuming, you know. So I've tried to do it. It's just very, very tough. You can do it, but it takes longer, and it's very tough. It's exhausting. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like, Stan Lee, and Stan Lee, in the day, wasn't crafting all of his plot breakdowns. Sometimes he would tell the plot in a lunch to an artist. And so the artist would break things down into 22 pages of storytelling. So Stan wasn't necessarily crafting these things in the written word, beginning, middle, and end, page 1 through page 22. So even he realized that his time was limited. So if he was going to promote the company as a whole, he had to, possibly figure out ways to write these books in a more efficient time management way. And that's the freelancer comic book dilemma. It always has been. It's always been that way. If I could afford a promotion team, I would. A promotion team that actually, I've talked to people about internet promoting and marketing and stuff like that. All those guys say the same thing. And to be honest, it's textbook. If I was to Google these things, all the same things would show up. So you guys watch out for certain people like marketers and stuff. It sounds kind of good, but if you're to Google a lot of these things, you can find them out yourself. So it depends on how much money they're taking as well. So first world problems. I wonder who that guy is. Yeah, it can happen. Sometimes you just have to have faith. You have to have blind faith in yourself and what your abilities are, and just keep moving forward. Because sometimes it doesn't come back directly. It doesn't come back like I put this out, it comes back. Sometimes it takes time. You're planting all these seeds along the way, and not every one of those plants are going to come to fruition. So there's a lot of things to these, these crowdfund, these platforms. But what helps is, in the meantime, if you can have fun, which I am having fun. So that's really cool. So I'm getting a little tired. I need to eat, and then I need to check in to see if this whole Chrono Mechanics drawing thing is going to happen. So let me see if I have my Chrono Mechanics link. I will drop that in one more time before I leave. If you guys don't know, I have an active Indiegogo campaign called Chrono Mechanics. So let me see if I can screen share with this with you guys, and then that'll be my parting shot. So no, I don't want that. I want this, and then I want this. I want this, and then this. So this should be the Indiegogo campaign. So Chrono Mechanics, they do more before the dawn of time than most people do all day. We had a stellar weekend last weekend. It was amazing. So we have 145 backers. We have $10,635. This is killer, you guys. Thank you so much. We have 32 days left, so we're about the halfway point. Realistically, we need close to 30K to make this a success. I would like to get to, I'm just going to cut to the stretch goals, and then I'll give you a little bit of a rundown on what the book is. But here's the stretch goals to help promote us or help to inspire us to get to these areas. So 20K is the button. 23K is the Doug's Lucky Pick. And this is a cool prop. And when you read the book, you'll realize how important the Lucky Pick is into the story overall. This is where it starts getting good, you guys. This is the interesting stuff for me as a creator. 28K is 6 more pages. And then 30 is the perfect bind, which is the square bound, more graphic novel type of format. 33K is woohoo, another 6 pages. So that's 12 pages added to the 48 pages that we start at. That's 60 pages. That's the ideal place I need this to be to tell the story I want to tell. So that's 60 pages. That's 33K. So like I said, that's kind of the sweet spot for this campaign, is the 30K area. And I know we can do it. We just have to kind of, one, I need to prove to myself or to you guys that I can get these books out to you, which I'm doing with Black and White right now, shipping those out daily. And then 2, help get the word out. Help get the word out that this is a great book and that it's worthy of support. So then 35, we have enhanced cardboard stock. That kind of gives us, as far as paper all the way around, the ideal place as far as thickness and quality. And then the biggie alert is the foil enhancements. On this cover, I think I early on was talking about foil enhancements where the logo would be enhanced, and then there'll be a little piping or trim all the way around the perimeter of the book. And then that will hook to the logo, and then it will hook to a cog that will be in the lower right-hand corner. And the cog will be foil enhanced as well, and the perfect place to sign our names on there. So you'll get a signature by me and by Pamela, my co-writer and wife. So then we have the biggie alert, which is the golden time card. This is just my thanks to you guys. So if you get a golden time card, you get a free doodle from me. So 1 out of every 10 books will have this golden time card put into the book. So when you open the book, you'll see your golden time card. 1 out of 10 people will get one of these. Fill it out, sign your name, send it back to me, and I will draw you up. I'll probably do it live. I'll draw you up a Doug sketch or doodle, and I'll send it your way. No additional shipping required there. And so Chrono Mechanics are basically time repairmen. So they're time repairmen, and that they fix the machine, the big machine known as time. And the machine is an ancient clockwork cosmic machine that was built in the very fabric of the galaxy, of the cosmos when they were created. So it regulates all time and timelines. So this is a fun action adventure sci-fi, you guys. It's lighthearted. it poses the question, what if Looney Tunes met H.G. Wells? So that also sets up the sensibilities of the book. So it's Looney Tunes, so it's going to be pretty wacky, but also in the truest sense of like Tex Avery and Looney Tunes, there's some adult humor that's kind of interspersed. It's in the story, but it should go over most younger kids' heads. So I think this can be enjoyed by adults, and not necessarily young children, but you'll have to kind of gauge the sensibilities based on your kids, and how mature and how much they can handle some slightly more mature content. It's mainly in the sense that the one character, the new recruit, is the 70s rock star. So there's some drug talk, some womanizing, and possibly some alcohol consumption conversation or subject matter that comes up. So other than that, it's not really that adult. It's kind of, I guess, situation oriented, kind of like Futurama or Simpsons, but maybe not even to that extent. But that's kind of the best way to explain the sensibilities. If there's anybody that's thinking about getting this for their kid, a kid can definitely enjoy the hell out of this book, though. I don't think that they're going to go, oh, that's horrible, I don't like it. So adults and kids alike will dig this book. So then there's a company, a corporation called Chrono Incorporated, and what their mission statement, what they do in the form of their mission statement is that they protect all timelines, they keep them working smooth, they regulate and repair the big machine. So since this is a huge machine that has various elements to it, it has cooling, it has fuel, it has electric, it has all these different components. Think of it kind of as a big combustion engine, and that, on a massive cosmic scale. So, yeah. So then what Chrono Incorporated does is they hire teams, and these various teams go down different time streams. And time stream is kind of like the commuter highway that we have, freeways, expressways, and they commute to the job site, and then they go repair the big machine or facets of the big machine. They can't fix the big machine. These are aspects of the machine because it's so massive. So they go repair the big machine. And so that's kind of the concept, that they're time repairmen, and that we focus on this team. It's they're the best of the best. It's Team 9.2 of Sector 7. And so one of the aspects is that I don't talk about a lot is that it's mundane meets the super fantastic. So one of the things is that it's kind of like it's their pain in the ass job, right? They go to work, they bust their knuckles, they go back to their lives afterwards, and they get no accolades, they get no sympathy, they get no anything. It's just their pain in the ass job that they do every day, right? They repair the big machine. Nobody knows that this fantastic stuff that they do, to them, it's just mundane. To everybody that they, at the work, site, everybody at Chrono Inc., it's just what they do. It's just their job. But what happens is, if the machine goes kaflooey, various aspects can go wrong. There's anomalies that can form. So one of the main things is that time starts to fold. It will fold onto itself. And if it goes long enough, actually timelines will disappear completely. And unless they fix the machine in that amount of time, then things will go so bad, like timelines will become so merged and intertangled that there's no fixing it. So the big wigs at Chrono Inc. have a remedy for this. they call it the Go Primal Protocol. So the Go Primal Protocol is kind of a reboot button. So if time just runs amok to the point that they cannot fix the big machine and they cannot straighten out the timelines, then the only thing they're forced to do is to reboot time itself, which means we have to go back to the primordial ooze. So we have to go back to the dawn of time. And when the galaxy was kind of formed and life started. So they call it the Go Primal Protocol. And so one of the aspects of this story is things go really, really bad. I mean, everything that could go wrong goes wrong. Time streams merge. Timelines are fading out. Other timelines are taking its place. You could be having a conversation with somebody 1 minute and then they disappear. You could be eating at a 50s cafe and then it turns into a Wild West saloon. All kinds of stuff can happen, and that's the fun aspects to this. So it's not just like a procedural, like, oh, they just go to the repair, they just go to their job site and repair the machine and then go home. No, there's all of this craziness that happens along the way and things that they have to deal with, all these obstacles that happen. Sometimes even like geographically speaking, the terrain changes to the point where they can't even navigate. So a lot of these anomalies are also like land shifts. So there's shifts of like the land. So the land doesn't even fit any geographic maps or things. So they don't even know how to get to these places sometimes. So there's all kinds of offshoots of problems that can happen. One of the other things that I think is one of the fun aspects of it is we call them time mines. So they're like mines, like in wartime, where they would put mines, like minefields out. So if their enemy was to try to rush them, they would step on these mines and blow themselves to pieces. So this idea is, if you step on one, it won't blow you to pieces, but it will blast you through time. So it actually is so violent, it'll rip a hole in time, and it'll basically, I want to say teleport, but that's too nice. It actually blasts you physically through time into another timeline. But the fun aspect of it is that it's your timeline. It's alternate versions of your own timeline. So you could meet alternate selves, and depends on the type of time mine or the explosion. You can be just blasting through time forever. So it can lead to madness, where you just kind of keep bopping through time and you never get to really establish relationships or friendships or anything like that. You're just so busy. You're just getting a glimpse of all these alternate versions of yourself, and you just keep bop, 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 bop. Kind of like if you think about Nightcrawler, you're just poofing into all these different timelines. And sometimes you have varying degrees of interaction. Sometimes you might stay there longer. Sometimes you might stay there forever. It just depends on the intensity of the explosions and how far you go in down the rabbit hole, I guess. And sometimes people never come out. Sometimes a series of events can lead them to an exit. Sometimes they just get lost in there. So I thought it was a fun idea. It sounds very like serious the way I said it, but when you see it, played out in the comic book, you're going to laugh your ass off, because there's a lot of funny physical things and visual things that happen while one of the characters is blasting through his own timelines. So these are examples of the page. So this is the first page of the book. One of the things too is we have a fantastic art team here. We have myself, pencils and inks. We have Narwhal doing colors, and then we have Render Contender that is helping me along on some of the pages. I think we have about 10 pages left between he and I to do, and this is one of our jams. So this is all three of us working on this page. So this is my breakdowns or layouts, Render Contender's breakdowns, and then my finishes, and then Narwhal's coloring. I think it came out awesome. That's Chrono Incorporated. And these are basically 5 pages that introduce Doug into the Chrono Mechanics universe. So think about it kind of like Alice in Wonderland or Dorothy of the Wizard of Oz, but only this is the 70s rock star slash, latter 20th century slacker. So work is a 4-letter word to this guy. So there's the pages there. And one of the other things is cool is we have a sketchbook as well. So I am going to go back to the chat and wrap the stream up. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Look at how dark it is in here now. Let's see if I can get some more light here. I'm in the dark. It looks like I'm in the dark, but I'm actually not. This camera's pretty weird. We have Garrett Townsend. Actively disrupt time. Yeah, there's all kinds of potential things that can happen with the machine, running amok. One of the things I was thinking that could happen too is just that it can fundamentally, if it malfunctions, it could get certain facts and certain details wrong. So there could be some detective work where it's just these things are happening. No one knows why. So then they have to do analytics on the machine. They have to try to figure out what's happening and why it's happening. So one of the cool aspects of Chrono Mechanics is that some of the big machines embedded in our world, like our Earth, but some of it is embedded in different timelines as well. And some of it is in other galaxies and in the cosmos. So this stuff can get like epic, like cosmos epic, like Galactus type epic. You know what I mean? Because these guys are dealing with the entire universe, the galaxy itself. So one of the aspects is, and this is where Chrononauts did rip me off, you guys, is a chrono mechanic is a worker, but they have like these work outfits, like these coverall outfits, but they're also crossed with a spaceman, like a suit, like a space suit. So Chrononauts is those two ideas. And I do know that Mark Miller, because I know he knows about the book because I talked to him about it and he's seen it. Chrono Mechanics is not a brand new concept. I've had it out for various stages. I've published the book before. So if he gets his movie deal before me, I'm going to be ticked off. That'll be a whole show for another time. But yeah, so so this stuff can become just epic in scope. So we're going to start small with this story, and then hopefully if you guys like the book and you support it, then we can get to those I never met a Doug. Oh wait, it actually shifted. I never met a Doug I didn't like. Same. So Rooster Puncher, thanks. Couldn't wait. I will definitely make a review of it. So there is a conversation going on with Rooster Puncher here. So I hopefully you guys are behaving yourself. Awesome Jam creates. Rooster Puncher, I think is a creative. I believe he goes. Do you go on? Is it Dan Frega's show? A lot. Yeah. So if you have a book, let me know, and then we can shout it out here, real quick before I leave. Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out if Doug is pure class. I think you're being sarcastic here, but yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll find out. He is definitely an unwilling participant in this whole time repair scheme, this whole venture. So very cool. So quickly, Rooster Punch, enlighten me if you're still in the chat, and if you have a book, we'll kind of promote it a little bit, and then I'll move on, because any friend of Dan Frega is a friend of mine. So. Oh, okay. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure you guys, I get inundated with so much stuff. I'm never 100% sure about anything. So yeah, so Rooster Puncher, his book is Void Walker, and it's out with Alterna Press. So check that out, please. So hey, oh, it just shifted again. Ah, it shifted again. You guys are moving too fast. Appreciate it, Art. Yes, no problem, my friend. Just pay it forward. That's all we ask. Just keep paying it forward. And if you don't know, Draken colors as well. He colored up a piece, that Wonder Woman piece. It's up on my Twitter. I think it's up on his as well. So he did a pretty darn good job there. Thank you. So yes, okay, we got Sketch Therapy gives it a thumbs up. In the chrono verse, we call it a double go. That's Doug's signature. It's the double go. So it's when you get 2 thumbs up. So Sketch Therapy gives it the double go. All right. So I'm going to wrap this up, grab something to eat, and then figure out what I'm going to be doing for the evening. So thanks again, you guys. I'm sorry about this camera bounce. I think this table is a little wobbly. I got my hand on the mouse and I just realized that it's bouncing. Okay, so thank you guys. Thanks for hanging out. It was a lot of fun. And when you get a chance, go check out Chrono Mechanics. And the black and white books are shipping as we speak. A batch went out today, went out yesterday. And like I said, all that tape, if you guys can hear it, that's Pamela, my wife, packing a bunch of books for you guys. So thank you. Have a good evening. Talk to you later.